Flying solo. Yep, that's what it's gonna be from now on, people. It's just gonna be me. Hopefully occasionally Andrew, but whatever. Anywho, to start things off, before I get into this full series, a few things you gotta know about me. First of all, I have Asperger's syndrome. Yep, I do, people. But, you know, that may become apparent as the series goes on. But, yeah, it plays a huge part into why I've been obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh! For the past 10 years. I've been playing ever since I was 12 years old, ever since the release of Pharaoh's Servant. As for what got me into the game, well, as for, you know, just like most people, it was because of the show. Funny enough, though, originally the show it's originally what made me hate the game for a while. I mean, for a while, I was just a little trolling little hater or whatever you want to call me. Just, I remember reading about Yu-Gi-Oh! For the first time in an issue of Pojo magazine, and seeing that it was rivaling Pokemon in Japan. I mean, I knew nothing about it, but just because I was huge into Pokemon at the time, and I'm like thinking to myself, like, it's rivaling Pokemon, it's giving Pokemon a run for its money. For shame! Uh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is evil! That's the way I looked at it. And I looked at the cards, and I thought the whole thing was kind of silly. I was like, I mean, it was just in Japanese. I'm like, that attack does 3,000 damage. I was looking like the original Prince with Blue Eyes. And, but anyway, though, I remember what episode it was that really, really made me want to hate the game and just completely, like, denounce anything that had having anything to do with it. Was I was just flipping through channels. And I remember my cousin Jared at the time was like really into the game, and or he was just into the show. I don't know. I think it was into the game at the time. But I happened to like pass by. I'm like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh's on. What do I see? The Paradox Brothers. Yes, people, that was my first exposition to the game, and that's never a good thing, because well, for the fans of the show, they know exactly how freaking ridiculous that episode was. You know, ah, ah, ah. Oh, Jesus. Sad thing is that I kind of still like quote that weird, like, I still quote that weird chant I did to summon the Gate Guardian every now and again. Because I mean, nowadays I look back at that episode and laugh, but also looking back, it'll turn anybody off the game. I mean, it makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Look completely ridiculous. However, funny enough, the saving grace for me was actually another episode of the show. I decided to give the show a second chance for whatever reason. I guess because, you know, I love my cousin so much. You know, me and him are like brothers practically, and you know, I don't know what. I guess I was just looking for a guilty pleasure or what have you. But the episode that got me into it was the first episode with Mako. I don't know why. I mean, looking back, it was a really terrible episode because a good chunk of the stuff you can't really do in the game. Like, for example, you know, destroying the moon, lowering the tide, raising the tide, so now you can't attack the water monsters or what have you. You know, but the point is that even though like none of the crap in there was legal, it gave me a better understanding of what the game was like. I'm like, geez, this is like chess and card game form. Honestly, that's what was going through my head the first time. But oh man, geez, it's cool reminiscing like this. But in all honesty, it was that's seriously what got me into the game. And then I remember just finding out that Jared had purchased the first two structure decks. He like just bought the two for himself. I don't know why he did. I guess because he thought I'd end up playing him or something. But he bought the Yugi structure deck and the Kaiba structure deck. And I want to say like 2 months later, after I saw that first episode, me and him had our first game at this one particular place, which now like holds a special place in my heart. You know, that's where I had my first game. And I'd go on to have another game there, like I think like 8 or 9 years later. Same table too. A place called Johnny Rockets. You can find it over in the DC area in the Pentagon City Mall. It's like one of the first. When you get out the metro, it's like one of the first places you see on your left when you're going in. You know, it's like a typical 1950s theme restaurant. It's a place we used to go to all the time back when they still lived here. But that was just, it was cool. Me and him, you know, we were little kids. It was, I mean, like we had like 200. We played with 2,000 life points. We imitated voices from the show. Blue Eyes, White Dragon. You know, goofy stuff like that. We summoned more than one monster per turn. We didn't bother with tributes. You know, we were just having fun with it. We played what we thought what the game was like, you know, and it was. I mean, we had like some understanding, like from what we saw on the show. That's pretty much what we went by. And eventually, Jared, I guess, like Jared read more into the game and what, and you know, that's basically how I started out. That's way, in my eyes, you know, every kid should start out playing the game that way. And yeah, folks, you know, that was the beginning for me. I was like every other little kid you see out there today, you know, that gets made fun of, you know, like it or not. That's how we all the players that are like still playing to this day since then. Again, that's how it all started for us. We all started with the show. We started playing like the show, and because you know the show worked. Let me leave it at that. So that was it. That's part one, guys. So tune in next week for potentially part two. Evil Midget out.